Hey, what's up guys, Jack here, and today we're taking a look at a newly announced game that's kind of sprung out of nowhere called Ark Survival Evolved. It's got high production quality, it's a survival game, and it's also got dinosaurs. Could be the perfect recipe, right? So most of what we know so far about the game is taken from the trailer, the official website, and also interviews which the creative director's done over the last couple of days. Ark is a survival game being built on the Unreal 4 engine by Wildcard Studios, and they're a newly built studio bringing in top developers with experience on lots of previous AAA titles such as the Uncharted series. The game spawns you in as naked as the day you were born on a strange island with no memory of how you got there. The main dangers to your life being other players and the rather large wildlife that inhabits the island. You've got to hunt, build bases, craft items, and just generally survive. So it sounds like a lot of other survival games out currently, right? Well, did I mention the part where you can actually ride dinosaurs? Probably should have started with that. Now, being able to ride dinosaurs is not a simple task, of course. It actually involves taming the beast first. This involves weakening the dinosaur to knock it unconscious, and then you've got to nurse it back to health by feeding it. Once it's past that hurdle, you can actually issue commands to it, and how well it responds to your commands will all depend on how well you've trained it. It's kind of like Pokemon, but prehistoric. I'd suggest taking a particularly long time training that T-Rex. Also, there's no limit to the amount of dinosaurs you can have as pets. As long as you've trained them and you can feed them, you can have them. Pets can also level up themselves, and they'll continue to require and consume food, as after all, they're just part of the game's larger ecosystem. They can also carry players' equipment and inventory items, so once you've got your T-Rex tamed and it's carrying your shopping from Walmart, you're going to be good to go. You could also then mount the beast and use it to attack enemy players' fortified bases, because yep, that's a thing. And that takes us nicely onto the base building aspect of the game. As in most base building games, to be able to build structures you first need resources. You can cut down forests for wood, but you'll also need to mine for metal and other resources too, some of which are rare. And what's cool is that the more remote and harsh locations across the Ark are going to have better resources. Depths of the ocean, peaks of mountains, and even underground cave systems. So once you've got the resources, you've then got the ability to craft a significant amount of items and build a massive multi-level base. And the cool thing about the structures in this game is that they'll have a load physics system. If enough of the structure's support is destroyed, it's going to fall apart, so you really need to make sure that your base is reinforced. They've also made a real effort to allow loads of customization in player bases by letting you paint your structures to customize how they look, as well as being able to dynamically place signs and textual billboards in them, and some decorative items as well, kind of like in Rust. You can do the same with your clothing, armor, and gear too, just to really set yourself apart from the crew. It's not just your clothes you can change though, as you'd expect. You can also change your underlying features as well, and yes, you can play as a female. Having a base in this game is much more important than in some similar games though, because when you leave the game, your character remains sleeping in the persistent world, again, much like in Rust. Your inventory is either on your person or in physical crates that are in your base, so everything can be stolen, and you certainly can be killed in the night, or worse, you might be knocked out and kidnapped, and then perhaps you're going to be dragged to the ocean and drowned. Players can even be locked up and force-fed, or be fed to pets. Tasty. Even better than that, you can use kidnapped players for your own sick purposes, extract blood to use in transfusions, or more disgustingly, you can harvest their fecal matter to use as fertilizer. We'll get onto that later. So this means that building up and securing your base is really, really important, because I doubt you'll want to come back to the game the morning after to find that you were murdered in your sleep. And this is where your pets come in handy, because you've guessed it, you can actually use those dinosaurs and scorpions, whatever they are, to guard your stash. So beware of the Triceratops. And one of the benefits of having a base other than security is that it protects you from the extreme weather in the game. Weather is not just a visual change here, it actually has an impact on you as a player. There's a day-night cycle as well as randomized weather patterns that add to the challenge of the game by altering the temperature of the environment, causing you to hunger or thirst more quickly than you normally would. And then of course you need to eat and drink to stay alive, and different plants and meats have different nutritional properties. Worryingly though, you can also go full Hannibal and actually actually eat human meat. A better solution though might be to pick seeds from the environment around you and plant them to grow food. It's not just plant it and forget about it though, you'll actually need to water and nurture them too. And one way of doing this is with the fertilizer, and that comes from, you guessed it, poop. Everything poops, right? So maybe you could use your own poop, or you could harvest it from the players that you kidnapped. Yuck. And physical activity you do also has an effect on your thirst and hunger, and as the inventory system is based on the item weight, the more that you carry, the slower you move. Now when you put this together with the weather system, it actually makes travelling long distances that bit more risky and adventurous. Thankfully though, you can craft clothing and items that will help with the temperature and weather, but be careful because everything you craft has durability, and if you don't repair it, it's going to wear out eventually. That's pretty cool. Items that you want to craft are done via blueprints, but you must obtain the corresponding resources first to be able to craft that item. You gain knowledge of some blueprints by just leveling up your character, such things as certain clothing items. You can also craft weapons as well, and what you can craft depends on if you've researched certain technology. Primitive weapons such as bows and spears are fairly straightforward, mostly anyone can build them. But if you want to get a sniper rifle, you're going to need to have a higher technology level and far more resources. In fact, your entire skill tree could be entirely different for each player. As you level up, you can put more points in speed and movement, or maybe just make it so your character can carry more items. Ark apparently isn't designed for you to play solo and survive on your own though, so you've got to set up a tribe and get your friends together, get your pets that can also be commanded by your allies in the tribe. So you could give someone permission to command your T-Rex. There's also going to be home spawn points that your tribe will be able to use, a management structure so you could promote friends to admin roles and give key codes or access to a village that you've created. The map size in this game is apparently around 48 kilometers by 48 kilometers, but it's not just all above ground. Underground cave systems as well as underwater areas are also accessible. The more exploring you do, the more chance you've got of finding the rare exotic creatures and also those rare blueprints for crafting. Creatures are not just limited to dinosaurs too. This game appears to have some fantasy elements in it, so expect to see creatures that you wouldn't normally expect, like scorpions, megalodons and dragons. My dream of dressing up and role-playing as Daenerys Targaryen in a video game has finally come true. You can also construct and draw signs in game for other players to come across. Maybe you can help them or hinder them. The choice is yours. If you're able to find sufficient and rare sacrificial items and then take them to a specific summer location, you can call in one of the Ark gods, which are kind of like mythical creatures who are going to arrive to battle you. And this sort of acts like an endgame boss for the player and his tribe, and it's certainly going to take an organized group to destroy the god, use your pets and defeat the creature to gain valuable progression items. Servers are planned to have 100 plus players on them in the final release, as well as the structures and all the pets and wildlife. You'll also be able to transfer your character and items between arcs or servers, each slightly different from the last. There's an option to play a single player local game too, which is going to have a slightly easier skill system if you just want to explore the vast environment on your own. Finally, the game will have full Steam Workshop mod support as well as a customized Unreal Engine editor, so people can create maps and mods for their game to their heart's content. In fact, this is what the developers want to happen apparently. Overall, from first impressions, I feel like this game has shown a lot of promise, but remember, we can't be too overly optimistic of course. Plenty of survival games have failed to deliver in the past, especially on early access, but apparently most of the features I just explained, apart from mod support, will all be in the early access of the game, which is released on June the 2nd, when it's going to be available on Steam for around $25. So only time will tell. This game's certainly on my radar now. It wasn't before. I am interested, to say the least. As always, thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below and I'll see you in the next one.